Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and this here, if I'm not mistaken, is the Dwarf Tamarillo, despite the fact that I'm not seeing a label for it. But yeah, it looks a lot like the Dwarf Tamarillo, a tasty edible Solanaceae fruit. It could, of course, also be the kerosene bush, the kerosene plant, which I thought once that it's edible, but I might have misunderstood something. It's toxic and the symptoms are not nice. But I think it's a Dwarf Tamarillo. I don't have internet here, so I cannot check that exactly. Yeah, where is here? Here is in Basel, Switzerland. And you might think, yeah, okay. Switzerland, the Alpine lakes in the south of Switzerland. There are a couple pockets of mild, almost subtropical-ish, basically frost-free-ish climate down there. But no, here we are not in southern Switzerland. Basel is in the Rhine Valley. That's the same valley basically where the city of Heidelberg is located in Germany. Heidelberg is located at the Neckar River, but most of it is located in the Rhine Valley. And here we have a classical Central European climate, of course one of the warmest and mildest climates of Central Europe, but still. And here there is an area of the Botanic Garden filled with treasures. I just find some proboscidea and some proboscidea with giant fruits while filming. Here is some squirting cucumber. Here, some wild spiny cucumbers. And then here, under this jujube tree, which seems not to be doing very well, there are a couple of those Solanum plants. They're right next to some Physalis. I mean the Physalis, this should be Physalis pruinosa, and I don't think it can survive here outdoors. Well, it's quite a massive plant, but I would still claim that it's from this year. But what about those things, folks? I never expected them here. I was thinking about cultivating a couple different tamarillos in a cold house. This is like an unheated greenhouse. It's getting crazier. This here looks almost like, no, at first I thought it's a feral avocado, but no, it's something else. But back to our stars here. Why am I always changing the subject, showing you different plants? Well, because there is basically an out of place plant here, a plant which I didn't think until like 5 minutes ago if you had asked me that it could survive in Central Europe without protection, but here it is, growing outdoors in early November. We will soon have the first frosts in the region. Not sure if they will reach the city center, but in a couple of days they're supposed to come. But there seem to be no efforts to protect this thing or to bring it indoors. There are 3 plants here. No label for them, but there are a lot of plants here without a label. They are well developed, they are young. I've seen considerably bigger ones in Tenerife, which has a frost-free subtropical climate in the coastal areas where the temperatures never fall under plus 15 degrees. And those things are fruiting. And they're also flowering and developing like crazy. Yeah, we are right next to a greenhouse, but this is a modern greenhouse. Yeah, double glass, quite well insulated, protected by another house from the other side. But yeah, I've seen a lot of plants here which in this garden which look like they couldn't survive a winter in the climate of the Rhine Valley. But a lot of them are outdoors, and yeah, it doesn't seem like they want to bring them in. I mean, sometimes with frosts, with mildly frost-hardy plants, people tend to leave them out for the first frost to give them some frost hardiness. But with this here, as far as I remember, it is a little bit more frost hardy than the normal Tamarillo. It's not as frost hardy as the hardy Tamarillo. But growing outdoors without any protection than the microclimate here, interesting. Now let's try it. Is it the tasty Dwarf Tamarillo or the toxic kerosene plant? It doesn't really have the typical Dwarf Tamarillo flavor. In Tenerife, the fruits had the flavor of tarap. Okay, they have a flavor reminiscent a little bit of tarap, but not too typical. And also a bit of bitterness. I tried kerosene plant fruits a couple months ago. They were a lot more disgusting than those. I still think that this is rather the Dwarf Tamarillo. Look at those little, what are they, stipules? Still think that this is the Dwarf Tamarillo. But in this case, the identification for me is not the most important part. The most important part is, how does it survive here? Will those be dug out in a couple weeks? Will they maybe be cut off and then a big pile of leaves put here on the ground? But no, they already kind of put the leaves around the bananas, around the outdoor bananas, which also shows me that they have a very similar climate to Heidelberg here, because in a milder area nobody would get the idea to protect the outdoors Basio bananas. In Heidelberg almost nobody does it nowadays except for the botanic garden. Interesting. I mean, there is a possibility that they will dig them out. There is also a possibility that those were surplus plants which were planted here in spring. Maybe then they were like half a meter tall, and then they are like being sacrificed. Like there is a slight chance they developed, flowered and fruited, so it's kind of a success. Then the gardeners might say there is a small chance they'll survive the winter. If they don't, we cannot do anything else with them. Or maybe those gardeners are up to something I don't know about. Kerosene plant or Dwarf Tamarillo? For me it would be a miracle if either of them survived here. Even if the toxic kerosene plant survived here, could still use it to hybridize it with other Solanums from the same section, and then also make edible plants survive here. Yeah, folks, so I'll try to ID this thing. If I can't, please tell me whether this is kerosene plant or Dwarf Tamarillo. Here the underside of the leaves, the young fruits. Otherwise, also tell me, what do you think? Will those things survive the winter here? I should be back in March. But in March, you cannot tell yet if something has properly survived the winter. Very intriguing, folks. Please tell me what you think about those things. Apart from that, stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful and incredibly fruit-rich botanic garden of Basel in Switzerland. And of course, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.